So Judge Ratha Mokgoatlheng has ruled in favor of the state's application to recall 2 of its witnesses to testify on additional photographic evidence related to 2 of the accused in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. On Monday, prosecutor George Baloyi bringing an application, but the defense could not respond to it as one of the lawyers were absent after participating in the Comrades Marathon. 5 men, let's remind you, they are on trial for the footballer's 2014 murder. Let's take a listen.
The prejudice, if any, is it has been tendered at a later stage, but the state has proffered compelling and compellable evidence that this evidence, although it can be categorized as new, it has relevance to this case, and it is related to all the evidence that has been led in this case, that of photographs. And we talked about the photographs being about 5,000 or 7,000. And there is no ambush.
All right, let's continue with this particular case. Linda Mnisi monitoring the trial, and he joins me now in studio for more. Linda, very important ruling today, and it's to do with photographic evidence. Why is this important?
Well, the state outlined that this is important because they came across some 7,000 pictures that had already been given to the defense during the long adjournment. You'd recall Advocate Mnisi asking for time to go through the docket. So during that time, they say they came across this evidence and they thought it could be of assistance in trying to discredit some of the versions that have been given by the accused when it comes to the issues around the identification of the suspects who allegedly entered the Khumalo home. And this evidence is in relation to accused number 1, 2, and 3. You'd recall that according to the state, it is accused number 2 and 3, Bongani Ntanzi and Mthobisi Mncube, who entered the Khumalo home that particular evening that led, of course, to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And one of the important things here, Oli, you'd recall, is that accused number 2, or the people that were inside the house, testified that one of the intruders actually had an O-shaped beard. O-shaped beard, right? And, you know, there was a version that was given by, the defense that he had never or has never had an O-shaped beard. In fact, it does not grow. He's always kept a goatee. So the state, in perusing through those pictures, found pictures that they thought they could use to discredit that particular version. Take a listen.
Accused number 2 has never had an O-shaped beard. He has made use of his point fingers to make an example on his facial by going around from the mustache to the side of the lips up to the lower part of the chin. And then the witness further says that as he is observing from the picture that is depicted, he says during the time this person took this picture of himself, he had the beard that is more of an O shape.
Thank you. And then you now rightly so spoke about the time when this photo was taken. Are you able to tell from your set of data when was the photo taken?
You are only able to see that if you peruse through the details under the picture, just like as you see from the screen.
All right, so that particular, by dealing with the issue around the O-shaped beard, which those pictures depict, those are pictures that were gotten from Bongani Ntanzi's memory card and were not disputed by the defense. So the state is now using them to discredit his version around the fact that he never had an O-shaped beard. And in the pictures, it showed that he had an O-shaped beard at some point. The question here was whether or not he's ever had it, not when exactly or around the time of the murder. So the state using that particular picture. But you'd also recall that in the testimony or in the statements that were given to the court, it was stated that the people who were inside the house could not describe the second suspect. In this case, the state believes the second suspect is Bongani Ndanzi. But when the people who were inside the house were giving descriptions back in 2014 about the second suspect, they could not give that description. Here's an interesting part, Xoli, is that there's a witness who gave a statement, who deposed a statement in the name of Thabang Makeleni. He was a passerby and gave the police what is a description of the man he saw, standing outside the Khumalo home that particular night. And it helped the police in drafting or putting together the identikit of suspect B. I saw we had a visual of the identikit now. But if you remember, shortly after Senzo Meyiwa was killed, the identikit was issued out describing essentially, there you have it, a person who was wearing a hoodie and, and indicating basically what he saw. The person had dreadlocks, a bit of dreadlocks inside the hoodie, which is one of the contentious parts. But he was basically the only person that was able to give that description. So today, the state bringing a picture of Bongani Ndanzi wearing a hoodie with an O-shaped beard and comparing it to suspect B that we're seeing on our screen right now, and the witness pointing out similarities between Bongani Ndanzi's picture and the one that is shown there that was given by Thabang Makeleni, back in 2014. And he identified the issue of the O-shaped beard, which is also contained in Bongani Ndanzi's picture, the hoodie, but also the issue around the dreadlocks, saying, although in the picture of Bongani Ndanzi, he could not see the dreadlocks, but in the identikit, he could actually see those particular, dreadlocks.
Was there a picture making specific reference to a gold tooth? Was that part of it, or did I mishear that today?
That is part of the evidence that the state wants to lead. It has not gotten to the part of leading that picture of the gold tooth, but it is among the pictures that it wants to lead. And in relation to accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, he is the alleged gunman who allegedly entered that particular house. But of course, the issue around the hoodie kept on coming up. If you remember in the trial, there's been a number of witnesses that have mentioned the issue of the hoodie. And they took it back to when, he was arrested now in 2020. You'd remember the evidence of Sergeant Mohola, who was the arresting officer, describing what they had found actually, in Bongani Ndanzi's home and what he had actually said about a hoodie that evening. Take a listen.
Okay. On your bundle of evidence, can you just place on record on what's written evidence that was given on the 21st of November 2023, page 5. The last page.
November.
Can you place on record the highlighted portion? Page 20, paragraph 21.
Paragraph 21.
Okay, kufundeka kanje Miss Mokgoatlheng. Yes, my lord. There were a couple of hoodie jackets inside the wardrobe. He also, my lord, requested to take one of the hoodies, my lord, which was gray in color. And my lord, if I am not mistaken, he was wearing a red hoodie jacket as well.
Very, very interesting developments today, because the admission of these photographs as part of the court record means that can now be used as evidence. Where do we pick up from tomorrow?
We pick up from the same evidence in relation to, the photographs, but particularly when it comes to the issue of the hoodie, because that was one of the last points that was being described. If you remember, there was one witness who came, Constable Senzo Meyiwa, who testified, and he's in fact the only witness that has testified who claimed to have seen the accused on the actual day of the murder. He actually indicates that he saw them at the hostel and twice, and according to the state's timeline, that would have been before and after Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And Constable Senzo Meyiwa mentioned that he saw Bongani Ntanzi wearing a hoodie earlier and later having changed to a different kind of a hoodie. And we saw pictures of different hoodies, or pictures of him wearing different hoodies being played in court. So all of that, including the identikit that was drawn by Thabang Makeleni, who, by the way, has passed away, so the state can't call him. He passed away, in what is believed to be mysterious circumstances. But, all of that is now being used as a point to drive in terms of the issue around the identification of Bongani Ntanzi, who is alleged to have entered the house during that night. But of course, it's important, at a later stage, this defense will get an opportunity to also respond and cross-examine based on the evidence that the state is leading now.
Linda Mnisi, thank you very much for putting us in picture there.